Are you considering launching a brand on Amazon and wondering what steps you really should take when you're figuring out what you want to sell and what actual products are going to be doing when you first launch them? Well, we can kind of walk through some of the steps of checklists that you should be looking at when you're going to launch or even trying to look for what product to launch on Amazon. So, first and foremost, when you are launching a product, one of the very first things you should understand is what is the competition like? You really need to understand how competition really builds on Amazon. So let's assume that I am launching this product, right? So we have this product launched already. We've launched a few variations of it. We're trying to understand, essentially what is a product like this going to do on Amazon. So first and foremost, you should understand what your competition is like and what are they doing from a sales perspective. But how do you go about that? Well, if we go to the actual incense category here, we can kind of see what some of our competition from, Sage Sticks are going to be doing. So you can see here, we have this one. So we have this nifty little tool from Helium 10 where you can load in the actual 30-day revenue and unit sales of products. So you can see here that this product is doing roughly 12,000 units per month, just under that, and, $76,000 in revenue. We can come over to our next competitor over here. We can load the sales data there. They're doing roughly 8,900 in units per month. We'll find another one. Here's another one. We'll load that. They're doing roughly 5,400 per month, so on and so forth. So what does this actually tell you? Well, you're essentially looking at the very tippity top of the market. What is the tippity top of the market doing? And you're trying to get a general idea of understanding how many units these people are selling. Why? Because you're going to be trying to take some of that market share for yourself. When you are launching a product on Amazon, there is a finite amount of market share, right? You have to understand how much are you really going to be taking from that market share and how fast can you really take it. And that comes down to a few varietal factors. How good of a product do you have? How good of an offering do you have? Is your price competitive? So if we go back here, especially from a price standpoint, you can see what their prices are. This one's selling, pack of 3 for, $6.45. This one, up here is selling theirs for $6.39. This one's selling for $7.19. So are you price competitive with the general market, especially the top sellers, right? The top sellers typically are going to be much lower priced or somewhere in the medium ground of pricing comparatively to you. Now, don't expect to be taking an immediate chunk of sales from any of these people. Again, you can see here, for instance, how many reviews they have. This one has 4,400. This one right here has 26,000. So don't expect to take an immediate chunk from the puzzle or the pie here from these people. The point is to build slowly over time on Amazon. Of course, you can do that a little bit faster if you have a really, really big ad budget and you don't really care about spending a ton of money. But the real chunk that you're going to be trying to take is over time, consistent sales, right? You're not going to take immediate from the top of the pile or top dogs in the category, but you definitely will get some sales over time. So definitely check that out first and foremost, trying to get an understanding of what your overall market is, what your competitors are doing sales-wise. Go through the entire category for any of your top competitors. It's also a good chance for you to put down all of their ASINs as you do that as well. You should know what the top 100 or the top ASINs within your category that you're actually competing in that top 100 are. At any given time, you should be able to look at those and see what they're doing because you need to understand from a keyword perspective where they are ranking both organically and paid. Now, on that note as well, we're going to come to the actual listing. And this is the best part. Make sure when you finally are launching your product to have a well put together, well thought out listing. Quite a few things you need to think of here. First and foremost, we'll talk about title. You should always, always, always have your title put together in a very good way. In this case, we have Sage Smudge Kit Immediate right there. That is our number one top keyword for the category as a whole. So this is what we're going after as our top keywords, right? Next, our actual main image. We have the entirety of what we have going on here, what you're going to be getting in here. Plus, we have a little bit of a main image CTR of just saying Sage Smudge Kit. This is exactly what you want to be doing. Same thing for listing. Make sure your listing is set up pretty well, precisely, as well as having all of your bullet points set up. If you can and you have the ability, As well, make sure you have some A plus content. You want to be getting, some crawlable text in there as well, setting up your alt text, etc. And then finally, premium A plus, this will come along after a little while. So next, obviously, is setting up your listing, making sure you have a good offering. Obviously, this one's a little bit higher priced than our competitors, but again, that's totally fine if you have to be higher priced. That's not that big of an issue at the end of the day. The real thing that you want to be focused on is you want to be focused on making sure that you have an offering that looks good, can convert, shows everything you're going to be doing for good click through, and then on top of that, you're going after still your keywords and your top keywords for the actual category. Now, after you've gone through, you know what product you're going to sell, you've looked at the competitors, you know what they're doing, you know what your listing looks like, how you're going to actually launch your product, what your offering is going to be, right? Where do we go from here? Okay, well, we typically are going to want to understand what our actual ad campaign is going to be, right? So, assuming you've gone through the process of utilizing Helium to go ahead and get a bunch of different keywords, you again can take all of those ASINs from reviewing those competitors earlier and go to Helium and throw them into the keyword tracker. It's definitely something you should do. So, if you aren't already doing that, definitely go through the process, go into Cerebro on Helium, make sure that you are taking all of these bestsellers. So going into here, just taking this ASIN, figuring out what they're doing, throwing it in there, getting some keywords. It's going to fetch your data. You'll understand at this point what it is you're actually getting from a data standpoint. And then after that, once you actually have all of the keywords they're going to be going after, that's when we're going to get into advertising. So let's say you know what your keywords are going to be, you know what you're going to be going after. You can go back to Cerebro, let's look at our ads. How much are we really going to be spending to try and rank and try and sell this product on Amazon? So let's look. So if we go back here and we take, let's say, sage burning sticks, which seems to be one of the top keywords, top relevancy, it doesn't have much search volume. So let's just do instead sage. So we do have a sage stick. So we're going to take sage. We're going to come back here. We're just going to look up our sage product. We'll do sage stick. There we go. So let's add this one for right now. We're going to go with manual targeting. We're going to do some keyword targeting. So we're just going to enter this in here. We can look here. We should already have an idea, again, of what our keywords are going to be. We'll add this in here. And then we're going to look at what our suggested bid is for this. The point of this is that we're essentially trying to understand what we're actually going to be spending. And again, you can do this just by clicking any random product. It doesn't even have to be this product here. It could be any random product. Or you can just put the keyword in general in down here and understand what it is you're going to be spending. You should definitely do this before you launch your product so you can come up with a good ad strategy and a good ad budget. You can also come over here. If you do have your product already, the point of having your product would be able to add it and then get some suggested keywords. So you can see here sage, white sage, sage long, incense, so on and so forth. And what we're doing with this is we're trying to understand how much it really will cost us to advertise. So you can see here, like top of the top for suggested bid is, let's say 85 cents, 83 cents, so on and so forth. So for some of our top keywords. And the point of that is that essentially it gives you a good understanding how much you should be putting into your ad budget to, again, try and take a chunk of that pie. So after you've gone through all of that, you understand now how much you're going to be spending. Let's say we're going to put in $1,000 a month. We know what keywords we're going to go after. We know what our listing looks like. We know what competitors are doing in the market. We know how big the market is. What next? Well, after that, you got to figure out sending some product to Amazon. So once you actually are figuring out sending product to Amazon, you want to come over to your capacity manager. So when you are first selling on Amazon, you should actually have unlimited capacity, quote unquote, as they have allowed that at this point in time. That being said, I would never generally say to actually use 100% capacity or even the unlimited capacity. What I'm always going to suggest is, typically speaking, depending on what your ad budget is, try and assume that max, absolute tip-top max, you can take somewhere around 5% market share in the first 60 to 90 days. Now, again, that is if you are trying to be as competitive as possible in the market, and anything below that would be typically even smaller. So depending on how competitive your market is. Again, we don't have that many competitors in this category for this exact type of product, but you can generally say that you're going to take somewhere between 0 to 5% of market share in the first 60 to 90 days. That can be anywhere from, 10 units to 10,000 units, depending on, again, what you're going to be spending from an ad spend. So if you're being ultra competitive and trying to just go all in, definitely you can probably hit around 5%. If you are trying to be a little bit more conservative, you don't know how much you're going to be spending, assume to only send in roughly 100 to 500 units to start. That is, again, usually just a very good baseline. Amazon does, again, allow you to send in as much as you want, except for Q4, where they start limiting people because everyone is sending product in. But again, it comes down to making sure you have enough product to where you're not going to sell out immediately if you do well. But then on top of that, you can always, if you see after a week or two that you're doing really well, put in another shipment. So you definitely should be allocating and forecasting for what those look like. You should also make sure that you are consistently actually putting in more and more shipments, because that shows Amazon that you are invested in trying to make this product go long term, especially during a Q4 season rush. So you've gone through all the basics. You now have your product sent in, your advertising campaigns on Amazon, you have a great ad budget, you're going after it all. What next? Well, optimization really just comes down to that. After you have launched, after you have looked at everything, you need to continuously optimize. What do you optimize? Everything. It's not difficult, but essentially track your product. Change out your title, change out your keywords or your bullets in here as well. Change out your A+ content. It takes 15 different approved A+ contents over 12 months to get premium A+. So constantly make changes to your A+ content and try and add that. You should also be doing a tracker in Helium on your product to understand, exactly what you're doing from an organic and paid perspective for keywords. That will help you immensely to really start to see where you're flourishing from a keyword and ranking perspective across the board. So optimization. You can also look, obviously, at doing some A/B tests. So you would just come down to your brands. You want to make sure that you can actually do manage experiments. If you are not brand registered and you're still waiting for your brand registry, that is going to be a little bit of a trouble. But outside of that, definitely do your manage experiments. Do some A/B testing with your main image. See what works, see what doesn't work. If at the end of the day you think that you've done everything possible to optimize, you should theoretically be number one in the spot in the category. If you're not, there's always more to do, always more to advertise towards, and always more to rank on. If you like this video and you want more content like this, feel free to give us a like on the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. We're always looking forward to more ideas and would love to hear yours below.